What's going on, motorsports fans? This is Jared here with the Bearded Garagistas, always with me. And again, he's back, is Brett.
I was going to say something witty, but not after that. Damn.
The best intro.
Today, we also are very excited to announce that we have, and you can tell I'm very excited because your speakers probably just went red, Eddie from Genesis Automotive.
How you guys doing?
He's got a mechanic shop at a performance shop up the block here. He's got a dyno. They do everything. They rent the dyno. They tune off the dyno. They rebuild engines. They rebuild transmissions. I actually went to go see his shop yesterday. Fabulous. Does a lot of good work in there. And he's got a lot of monsters, including this monster behind me, which we are going to talk about today. I know you could see it. Real quick, you want to tell him what that is?
Yeah, definitely. It's my... Sorry. I've had this car since pretty much 1999, second owner from the dealer. It is a EG Coupe, 1995. It has a non-VTEC engine inside of it. I know I went a little bit different from everyone else.
Yeah.
Basically with that, it's a sleeve motor, fully built top to bottom. Everything you could possibly think of, you can do to it. It is turbocharged. Right now, before I go into what it has, we're a little bit over 800 horsepower, a little bit over 600 foot-pounds of torque. The problem that we're having is getting it to hold. So
right, you're telling me that.
Right. So the biggest issue that I have with the car, which everyone who knows me knows that it kind of just sits in the shop away from everything else, is business before pleasure. So I'm trying to get everything else done so I can focus on it.
Right.
So we have to go and do the boost by gear over again. We got to set different tires forward to try to get it to hold. Last time we tried to get it to work, it was 5 guys, 4 straps, 2 chains. Still didn't hold.
Does that work, though? Like having I'm going to do all this so then I have time for that? Like, doesn't this normally always dominate and then that gets forgotten about?
Yes and no. It's pretty much boils down to time. If you can make the time for it, it's
Right.
great. For me, I'm more business and less play when it comes to actually the shop. So my car on a day off, I can come in and actually do what I want to do. Most of the time, I'm probably sleeping or playing with my boys, but it can be done. If you have, if you have the time to break up to what you need to do, it's possible.
Yeah.
It's something that's not saying it cannot be done. It can definitely be done.
Right.
You just have to know kind of what's more important. Like for me right now, for us, we really don't have a dead season. Like it was mentioned, we're a general service shop and we're also a performance shop. So whenever one thing is slows, another thing picks up. And a lot of times, because of the fact we do rent the shop out, there really is never a day where I can say, okay, fine, I'm going to jump on the dyno and block it out and it's only going to be about me. I don't believe in personal gain over actual business.
Right.
So with that situation, what I would do is come in on my day off or on a day that I know is going to be dead, like maybe a holiday, and I would mess with it from that point or after hours.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I actually have a question about you with that dyno. I was thinking about it after I came by and you were telling me how you will freely rent out the dyno whenever anybody pretty much calls and you're not having to use it. Now, it's kind of a 2-part question, right?
Yep.
You're a tuner. Do you feel that it hurts you in any way being a tuner but renting the dyno out to another tuner, right? Business going somewhere else. And the second part of that question is, how come more shops don't do that? Do you feel like they're thinking that it's going to hurt them? What's the reason that nobody else really rents out their dyno as much as you do?
That's a very good question. I'm glad you asked. For me, I don't feel it's going to hurt me at all. I've seen guys come in tuning stuff as simple as basically a Honda Civic, as far up to a Porsche, as far up to, whatever crazy thing that they want to tune, as long as it can be strapped to the dyno. For me, I wouldn't say that it hurts because of the fact all the tuners that I deal with, we all communicate. There is no I'm better than you kind of mentality or anything like that. You do have the few out there that won't come to this particular our particular dyno because of the fact of their own personal reasons, of which I don't know.
Okay.
But we're open to anyone coming in. Like if they want to come in dyno, we let them know ahead of time. Hey, just give me a call 2-3 days ahead of time so I can have it scheduled in. Because I've had 4 or 5 different tuners there at one time, and in the end, when one tuner is tuning and the other 3 are outside talking to each other, we're joking, we're laughing, we'll order pizza.
Right.
Everyone is family when you come to our shop. It's not like, okay, well, Eddie's in the office, don't talk to him, don't say anything to him, keep your head forward. It's the furthest thing from the truth. Like, if you guys are there and I see you come in like, hey, how you doing? You want something to drink? You want something to eat? That's how I am. Now, the second part of that question regarding why aren't other shops doing it, I honestly couldn't tell you. It's a simple thing to where once you set those hours for the dyno tuning, you know exactly what's coming in, what's going out. Everyone is happy. And you now open up more, how can I put it? You open up more advertising for yourself as a company.
See, that's what I thought. I figured that most people would go ahead and rent out their dyno as much as possible because that's still foot traffic in the door to the shop.
Number one.
That could lead to something else. Or, hey, where do you get your dyno at? I get it done at Genesis Automotive. And it kind of builds off that. So I never understood why it's so hard. Like, a lot of the times I only hear about a dyno unless you rent it out from that specific shop or, they just so happen to have a dyno day.
Yeah.
And I can never figure that out. Like, wouldn't you want more people in your shop?
Listen, the best thing that you can do is to have more people in your shop, because most time when I'm actually doing a tune, or if I'm there and I'm doing even the basic, we have 3 pulls. Basically, you come in, if you want to figure out what the power is on your car, you pay $75, you get 3 pulls on the dyno. If a tuner comes in and they want to rent the dyno, we charge a flat rate fee, hourly. That's it. Now, if you go over 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I'm not going to kill you. I understand things happen. Cars are not perfect. Trust me, we all been there.
Right.
Now, what I don't get, like you said, you come in, it's a car. People, it should be a situation where, okay, fine, hey, I'm going to go tune here. I'm going to go tune here. I've had people come to me and say, well, I called the other shop. They don't do it. And I'm like, and I ask them, well, did you ask them why? And they just didn't give an explanation. People are different. For me, I enjoy it. I get to see different cars. I get to meet new people. I get to, you kind of embrace who's coming into the shop. The best part about it is we do advertise. I'm going to do a little plug here. Sorry about that.
That's fine.
We have our YouTube page, which is Genesis Automotive. We have our Instagram, which is Genesis_Automotive, and we have our Facebook. Anything that we do in the shop regarding tuning, or if it's something regarding videoing, it pops up there. There are countless times I've had other tuners come in who are not selfish.
Right.
And they tag us in the videos. And then we'll get that,
That's
hey.
crazy.
Yeah, we'll get that, hey, you guys do tuning? I'm like, yeah, we do. Do you guys rent the dyno? Yeah, we do. And I'll get that call. Hey, I heard about you from such and such. Or we heard about you from such and such. Can you tune this car for us? Can you tune this for us? Or can we rent the dyno? By all means.
Is this something where, like, you guys have put a lot of thought into it, to where, like, do you have cons? Are there cons to doing that?
Really and truly, the only con that you would have is if you double book. Because it's very difficult for you to break the machinery. You'll break your car before you break the machinery, as far as the roller itself.
That's what I've noticed a lot. Yeah.
Right. When customers come in, or I shouldn't say customers, other tuners come in, I ask them, have you ever worked, we use Dyno Jet. Have you ever worked with the Dyno Jet dyno before? If they say yes, perfect. I still go over everything with them.
Right.
I stay there with them for the first pull. Number one thing that I do, I strap the cars down myself.
I'm all about that.
Listen, I had a guy strap the car down one day, and he didn't strap down the back straps.
Oh.
Rear wheel drive. So the first pull, the car jumps forward, and I'm like, yeah, no, stop everything. So I walk over, shut everything down, I get it. And for me, I've had experiences where other tuners come in, they, I think I mentioned this to you, and they strap the cars down. Turbo cars, sorry if I'm moving back and forth too much.
No, you're good.
Turbo cars are basically anything above 300 horsepower. I don't use straps, I use chains. Reason being, I've seen too much stuff happen.
Right.
And I had a guy come in, or a couple of people come in, different tuners. They strap the car down with the straps, and it's a front-wheel drive car. Turbo, hood exits or bottom, whatever you want to call it, different things. I'll give you 2 scenarios. The first one, car is strapped down on the dyno. Car sounds amazing, pulls everything, and all of a sudden I hear to the side. I'm like, what is going on? So the wastegate is directly hitting the strap.
So fire and burnt the way.
Oh shit!
Just toasted it.
As he's going through the pull, he's into it. You just hear the car pull to the side.
Oh shit!
And I said, why didn't you use the chains? Oh, I didn't want to. Okay, cool, no problem. It happens. The second time, the lowered cars. I love the car guys to death, but some of these lowered cars, it kills us. The strap was resting on the header, and he didn't know. When you pull it in, it actually pulls a whole suspension down on the car.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He was doing that pull, and once again, rather than swinging to the left, it went to the right, and I was like, yeah, one of them actually touched the actual lift, the post. Thank God didn't hurt it too bad, but from that point, I said, anyone who's coming in, I'll strap it in myself. Mm-hmm. Therefore, anything happens, it's on me. That's how it should be.
Yeah.
So I get the cars in, strap the front, strap the back. I ask them, is there anything that I need to know about the car? We go from there. I'll even set up all the lines and everything. So therefore, once they start and they're doing the pulls, they know for a fact, okay, green go, red stop. Simple as that. If they have any issues, they come and they get me, or I'll stay there and I'll periodically come in and check on them to make sure they're okay.
I just imagine a car like snapping off the chain, like shooting out your front door.
Oh, it's scary. We've had Hellcats in there, and literally I'm in the office and I'm seeing the walls shake. And I'm just looking like, because my office, if it's a rear-wheel drive car, it's only one direction out. So if they come wrong, which I got to put that concrete post up, not like it's going to help, but still,
Right.
it would connect to my office. I've had front-wheel drive cars that I can almost promise you, I'm thinking they're going to go through the gate out through the alley because they're just.
Do you ever sit there and just start tallying up what the damage would be if one of these things and like get like a dollar amount going in your head?
Yeah, I have, and it's scary as hell. Listen, it's scary. I did a car last week actually, and it's a regular customer. He just wanted to refresh the car because he changed the injectors. And I'm in the car and I'm doing a pull, and I did the pull, and the car literally squats and it goes to the right. Now, mind you, it is strapped down, but the suspension was a little quirky, and it has torque steers, no limits, no LSD. So when it pulled. As a tuner in the car, as anyone in the car, you kind of want to like, oh shit, did that just really just shift? And when you watch the video, you see the car to the right and then it catches back. So
That's scary.
it's very scary. And if that's a dyno, imagine how it feels on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it makes power. It made a little bit over 600. So, and it's not crazy power, but it's good power. So when you have that in such a light chassis, you will feel everything. Yeah.
What's funny is every time we sit down here, I have a plan of like, what order I want to get into these topics, and it always gets
Shoot,
thrown
man,
off.
just shoot. I'm
So
open.
I had a whole thing like we want to talk about everything else, but since we're on this tuning thing and what you do, I'm all about staying with it. And I wanted to ask you what current builds and what current builds you working on that you're really proud of, and then what are some of the best builds you've ever done, most power, things you've had your hands within.
There's a lot. There's a lot. Right now I'm working on one turbo build for a customer who's basically doing almost like a circuit racing thing. He had it before. It was having some issues with blow by, a lot of issues with, he just kept going through, the head kept lifting. I'm not sure what was causing it. So we took everything apart, sent the head out to the machine shop.
Which engine was this?
I'm sorry. Yeah, it's basically it's the LS bottom end with the VTEC head, LSV.
Okay.
On boost, maybe at the time 400 and change horsepower, but he just kept having these real quirky problems.
Right.
So I told him, I said, drop it off, of course, before the Corona kicked in, and we were gonna run through the motor, change the compression because it was too low. What I've realized that when you're running such a low compression, the motor has to do so much more to make the power.
Okay.
So I told him we're gonna bump it up. He was at 9.2. Old school compression. I said, no, we're going to put you like around 10.5. Therefore, the turbo will do its job. The engine's going to run perfectly fine, and it'll last. You can have fun with it. So pretty much, that's one of them that I have my hand in right now. We're literally just gutting the whole motor, new rods, new pistons, changing out the cams. I didn't like the setup of the cams. It came in too delayed from how he had it set up.
Okay.
Originally, I was not the one tuning it, but now I'll be the one tuning the car to get him the power he wants. He really only wants like 450, 500 with it, which is cake.
I feel like it's better when you build and then tune in a way because you know what's probably going to fail first.
Yeah, I've had a couple motors that I really enjoy doing, and like I've mentioned in the past, I've built motors for customers. They come in, they're like, hey, Ed, you know what? I want to go ahead and build a motor. I have 3 main questions, or actually 4 main questions I ask the customer. Number 1, how much do you want to spend? Number 2, how much power do you want to make? Number 3, how soon do you need this car back? Like, what's the urgency? And the last question is this your primary car?
Right.
Now, they all play a factor into each other because of the fact that if you're trying to get Le Mans power on going to the corner, money, it's not going to happen. But
I need 1,000 horsepower to go to the Circle K.
yeah, that's what it is. No, 2-step the whole way there. That's what we need. But I literally try to, get to the roots with the customer to figure out what exactly they need, what they want.
Right.
And the biggest question I think that kind of solidifies it for me is how much power. So once they say, okay, Eddie, I want 300, I want 400, I want 500, I want 700, that tells me now where we're going to go with as far as the motor build, where we're going to go as far as the fuel system, where we're going to go as far as the electronics or as far as the tuning goes. So everything plays a factor.
Right.
Now, the how soon do you want it question, let me tell you how that rolls in. I've gotten customers where I've asked, that's a Harley,
baby.
I'm telling you. I've gotten questions where it's like, our customers where it's like, you know what, hey, take your time, and I promise you, it'll be Friday at 12 o'clock, the car gets dropped off. I get the phone call 8 o'clock at night. Hey, is the car, how's it going? Bro, I haven't even pulled the car in the shop yet. So it's like, you get those kind of
I wasn't
anxious.
waiting for you to come in.
Yeah, and it's like, I'll tell them, I'm like, listen, I'm going to call you, not being mean, but please understand, we're a big shop. we're not rude, but we have other cars that were ahead of you.
Right.
So what I'll do is I'll do a little bill sheet, get everything set up for them, and I'm like, okay, this is where we're going to start. And from there, we just keep going with it.
Right.
And the last thing would be is this your primary car question? I definitely try to tell a lot of the customers and friends, if it's your primary car, don't make it your race car. It's not saying it can't be done, but you're going to put so much wear and tear on this car that's not set up for everyday driving or long distance driving, depending on the build that you're doing. Like, I've done many cars that you can drive them daily. I could drive my car daily if I want to. Would I do that? No. I don't have reason to. I have another vehicle. But if it's such a situation where they have a car that they're not really using, and then they have that car that they want to make it a race car, I'd be like, listen, you can focus on this car as far as the race build goes, and then you can keep this one as a daily. Now, if they have a car that's strictly that car that they have, I try to take them to the safe route, because it's better to have a car that survives than one that makes one good number one day and then you got to rebuild it 4 or 5 different times.
Honestly, I'm that way about cars that go to the track too.
Yeah.
What's the point of sending the car down the track one time? Great. You got 3-4 rounds in some of these big races where you're going for a lot of money. I mean, this isn't a grudge race where you go there just for this one race. You don't pull it off the trailer, run a little pass, and then you're good to go. It doesn't work that way. Like, for me, if I was going to some of these bigger races, 3, 4, or 5 races deep in these qualifying rounds, I'd rather relinquish a couple of horsepower to make it to the end, make it to the final rounds, and instead of let's just beast this thing through the roof. And I never understood that either.
It's crazy because I've heard various things regarding tuning and how people are, but my thought process behind tuning in customers' cars, or even my personal car, even friends' cars, I'd rather you enjoy that car on more than one day than you go out there, hey, he beat this car, but halfway of him beating it down the street, there's something metal flying out from underneath the bottom of it.
Yeah.
That defeats the whole purpose. So now that 2,000, 3,000, even 8,000 to 10,000 you put into the car, you have to now do it again. But if the car can be reliable, where you can get into it every day, whether you have AC or not, or you just want to cruise or go down by the beach, or just go to the spot or go to the track, you can do it. It's there for you to have fun.
Right.
It's not a one-time thing. And it's a difference from our generation to now trying to teach this generation, like, hey, it doesn't have to be that beat on it everywhere you go kind of thing.
how's
Wait.
Yeah.
I need to know, because I do want to go into the generational conversation.
Oh, boy.
Is that where your question was
No.
leading? Okay, go ahead.
That look.
No, mine is how's that money break down? Because I see, like, if it's your daily, you're putting so much wear on it that you're constantly having to do more when you want to take it to that track. So how does the money, like, I mean, you have to run 2 cars, so there's the expense there,
Right.
getting 2 vehicles versus having one but constantly having to repair it.
Okay,
Or
so
do minor work, even whatever. You're doing something on
What do
it.
you mean? Like, which way would he rather go? Would he rather have 2 cars, or would he rather have a reliable
Well, I mean,
one?
let's say you have someone who's tight on money,
Okay.
right? Are they going to spend more in the long run having that one vehicle,
Okay.
whereas...
I know where you're going. Okay.
depending on the person, depending on the bill. All motor cars, I've seen a lot of my customers take all motor cars. They take them to work, take them to school, take them to home. They do whatever they want to do. Turbo cars too, some of them, depending on the horsepower, yes. In the end, if they don't follow, it's not really like a direct sheet to say you need to do this, and this.
Yeah.
But if you don't spend the time and the money in the right places, yes, you're going to be repeating it twice. I've had customers I've told before, hey, you have a wiring problem. Hey, you have a wiring problem. Hey, you have a wiring problem. It doesn't register. I literally does not. I'm like, oh, Eddie, it's this. I'm like, no.
Sometimes you gotta leave that check
Yeah,
engine light on for a little bit longer than
they talking to you looking like, and in your mind you're like, we've had this conversation 5 times, but you be polite because some people don't get the first time. We get that, but and what I look at, I say, hey, listen, you know what? If you're having a wiring problem, let's go ahead and change your wiring harness. If it's an issue with the ECU, you want to upgrade or yours has a problem, let's change it out. Some people are tight for money. And one thing about our shop that I have to say, we look out to the best that we can. We will never make everyone happy. I learned that a long time ago. It cannot be done. You can have 10,000 people who you make happy, and you can have 3. And those 3 will be the most unhappiest people in the world when they hear your name. But those 10,000 that you've helped out, they will always back you every single time. And it works out. But to get back to the question, it all depends on if they're not being cheap. If they know what the cost is going to be to make it work and they're willing to do it, by all means. But I always tell them straight up, listen, if you don't put the money in here, this is where you're going to have the problem. This is
Right.
where it's going to happen. And a lot of times, believe it or not, it shows on the dyno. Like I had guys who, and this kills me, and no disrespect to anyone, I understand it's a budget build, I get it. If I see one more eBay set of injectors inside these cars, I'm going to lose my mind. Bro, because we'll get these injectors, and I'm looking, I'm like, you ever pick up something, you're like, what is this? And it's a stock
You
injector.
gotta like sound out the name brand.
You
of
can't
it.
even, bro. Okay, we got you. And I'll put it in the car, and literally I load all my maps off of my own tunes. So I always have a base for every single car.
Right.
Every one of my base starts a car. No issues, no questions asked. I've done remote tunes, I've done local tunes. They always work.
Okay.
I've had some I put into cars and I'll look and I'm sitting there playing with the latency, I'm playing with the fuel size. I'm like, and it's, oh yes, they're 1000cc injectors. Okay, great, that's average. I love the 1000cc injector thing. Those and the, what are the other ones? The RDX injectors. If I see any more of those, I'm losing my mind as well. And they're like, yeah, that's what they say they are. That's what they say they are. I say, can you pull up any information? They're like, oh no. I said, where are you getting them from? And you get that from eBay. Where? eBay. Oh, okay. So I've had it where I've had 1000cc injectors try to start the car. Car would not start on 1000, would not start on 900, 800, 600, 500, 550s. I went down to stock 240cc. The car starts right up. I kid you not.
Damn.
And I said, I'm not tuning the car on these. I said, I'm not going to do it.
Wow.
I said, I honestly would recommend you send it back to whoever you got them from, get some new ones, because our shop, like your brother's been there, we have almost everything that you need. So if you come in, you need a boost by gear controller, you need turbo, you need manifold, you need injectors, you need map sensors, everything is there. I set up like that, so basically, once you're there, you don't have to leave.
Right.
Like our mantra was, your one-stop shop for OEM aftermarket and performance sales. So once you're on the dyno, let's say that you're on the dyno, God forbids, and let's say your boost controller goes bad. Okay, no problem. I'll let you know, say, hey, I have it inside. It's going to cost you this, but you can finish the tune today. Sure, go ahead and do it. Wastegate goes bad. Go ahead and do it. Turbo goes bad. Go ahead and do it. Whatever it may be, we try to keep it to where we
Right.
can make sure that you're happy and you're done. Because the worst thing to get to that point where you're almost there and you have to stop and come back and start all over again, or you have to pay again. I'd rather try to make sure everyone gets to the goal that they want
Right.
and they're happy. There's nothing better than seeing a happy customer saying, hey, I made the numbers, or my car survived the dyno, which I don't know why so many are scared of the dyno. But it is.
happens.
Yeah.
I also put up on Instagram, you know, that we were, you know, having you on the show, and if anybody had any questions to let us
Yeah.
know. And one of them was, and it kind of goes along with the builds. He wrote, "What's one of your favorite Honda builds in South Florida that you were not involved in?"
That I was not involved in. That's a good question.
Yeah,
I have a few.
our fans asked some interesting
yeah,
questions.
I have
Look
a
at you
few.
able to ask a deep
I know,
question.
caught me off guard with that one.
I didn't ask it, by the way.
I know.
That's one of our fans. Like, I just took what he wrote.
I would have to say, and he's a popular guy. You know, Frustrate was one of the best builds I've seen that he's done. And I remember Frustrate from when it was strictly front wheel drive, and when he was B series, and when he would go to the spot before the glitz and the glam. And to see him come from where he is to come from where he was to go where he is now.
Right.
It just shows that anything is possible. You can do what you want to do as long as you have the right mind and you stay focused with it. And like I said, that's just one of the many builds. A lot of the guys who I see their cars. We even have one guy who we sponsor. His name is Darnell, and his group is On the Edge Performance. Seen him come in from when his car was pretty much almost set up like mine to a full track car, and we sponsor him as far as dyno time and stuff like that.
Okay.
These guys have that passion in their heart.
Yep.
This is old school. You can't acquire that. It's something that is developed. You know, and when you see these guys out there doing everything that they can do, and it's like, you know, not trying to sound like cheesy, like the blood in the veins or the fuel in the veins, like Toretto would say.
Right.
It's true. You get out there, you see these guys every day, and they're going to work, they're working at 9 to 5, and when they get home, some people watch TV. Some people, they play video games. These guys get into their car. It's that peace of mind. It's that, I can relax.
Right.
This is what I'm doing. I'm happy
Yep.
doing this kind of situation. So those would be the two that I've seen. I can't say the Darnell one because we help him out, but to see the Frustrate one from where he started to where he is now, that's, you know, it's like the people's champ kind of thing. You
Yeah.
see him do something and he's out there doing it. And it's a very enjoyable thing to watch. I'm very happy for people, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said something interesting. You said that you sponsored somebody. I know Frustrate's sponsored by Elite Garage. That's one of his many sponsors. He's got his own transmission, the Honda transmission repair that he does as well. And that kind of leads me into some of the things. Like we've had Elite Garage on the show, and we've gotten into and been able to pick his brain about where he thinks sponsorships go and how that happens. And I have a few questions to go off that, and I really wanted to ask you.
Sure.
You being a sponsor of a car, or you sponsoring a car, what do you look for in a sponsee? What are the things that kind of draw you to them, and what are you looking to get out of it?
What draws me to sponsoring someone with a sponsee, they have to be responsible. They have to be dedicated. They have to be able to see it's more to the scene than themselves. It's not about being, oh, me. No, we're not doing that. Because when you go out there with a big head, you tend to cause bigger issues than you expected. Sponsorship, we get asked that all the time. You know, will you sponsor us? Will you sponsor us? And it's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you actually, because I'm very funny. I observe people. I'm a people watcher, so to speak. And you'll see when people don't notice that you're watching them, how they really are.
Yep.
And when I got a guy ask me to sponsor him, but he's coming down the street damn near 90 miles per hour, and there's cars coming up and down the block, people walking, I can't sponsor you.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, when that news camera pans over and they see that Genesis Automotive logo, they're going to be like, oh, these guys were sponsoring this car? No, if it's a situation where they're going to bring it to the track, they're going to be out there, they're getting a name for themselves, and they're doing something positive, by all means, we're there. But my biggest thing as far as sponsorship for people, have to be respectable, have to be responsible, have to understand that it's not all about you, and you have to be willing to take constructive criticism. Because the biggest issue nowadays is that self-entitlement, and you're obligated to do for me. No, it's not. We grew up in a different generation. You did wrong, you got your butt, in trouble. So for me to see people out here now who are doing right and they're striving to get to that goal, by all means, I'm always on board to help them. But you have the certain few that they don't care. They just want it no matter what, and you can't tell them anything. Yeah. Now, as far as what we get out of it, once again, it sounds kind of cheesy. I like seeing people happy. Literally. I can count how many times I've been to the track last year and the year before. We were more focused on building the business, getting everything right. So if it's a situation where they had to come in before they went to the track, I've stayed. There have been nights I've been at the shop until maybe 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, getting things right for these guys to go out. And as far as anything else, it's notoriety. Like, people look at a car, and I know I do it. This is my habit. I'll see the car pull up, and I'm looking at all the stickers like, hey, I know that one, I know that one, I know that one. And it's cool because when you actually see your sticker on a car, you know that you were a part of something with that car. It wasn't just someone putting it on there. You know genuinely what it's for. Everyone knows this as being a dyno shop or a repair shop, or better yet, just an overall rounded shop, because we do so many different things. So when we can have people look and see the logo, it's amazing. It's great. Like, we literally primarily put stickers on cars that we've worked on. We don't just give stickers out like that. If I've touched your car in some form, shape of way, especially tuning, you get the sticker, and I'll ask, do you want it? I'm not just going to go and put on your car. Some people don't want that. But we ask, and they say, yeah, we put it on there. And you'll see them around town all the time. It's respect. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
100%. Do you feel, you kind of align with a lot of things that we believe and a lot of things with Elite Garage believes? The whole gist of this show is to build motorsports as a community, as a sport in the United States, and kind of get everything going. And you kind of believe onto what you kind of align perfectly with what we think. And that being said, I do want to ask, we all know that there's a lot of shops out there, there's a lot of sponsors out there that it's like a pay to be sponsored sponsorship, right? They might give you a little bit of a hookup, but not the whole thing, or they won't give you, they never give anything away for free.
Not the whole enchilada.
Something. Yeah. So it's like those kind of sponsors, how much do they hurt the community? How much do they hurt what you're trying to accomplish? Does that make sense?
Yeah, but add in there, with the benefit, like, don't just knock them, man.
What do you mean?
Is there a benefit to that as well, though?
Yeah, there's a benefit to that company saving their investment, right? They're protecting their investment. I'm not one way or the other. What I believe is not gospel, right? I understand that what I believe is something could be different than somebody else. But what I'm saying is, I definitely don't believe in that type of sponsorship. I believe if you are going to sponsor somebody and you're going to slap
them.
money on your name on the side of that person's car, and they're going to rep your shop and they're going to rep your product, then you should wholeheartedly sponsor that person to try to help build them, because then you're building yourself.
I disagree with you.
I understand.
By the way, just
but then you'll have those places that, yes, they're protecting their investment. They're not, they'll give you maybe 10% off, but then they want you to put a sticker on their car. I'm like, 10% off, that's like a friends and family discount. That's not a sponsorship.
Taxes. Yeah, depending on what it is.
That's taxes. So, like, how much does that hurt you and what you're trying to accomplish?
I don't think it personally hurts me because we don't require anything like that. There's no, I need for you to pay me X amount of money for this. Like,
have you ever had any people like hesitant to be a sponsee of you because of all the stuff that they may have gone through?
I've never come. You know what? I had one person mention something like that, not verbatim what it was, but he mentioned he couldn't do certain things, and I was like, yeah, when you're a sponsor, you can't really be out here street racing everywhere. And I think it was something he was hitting on. But as far as what you're talking about, I do agree with you. If you're sponsoring someone, there's the reason why they're looking for a sponsor. They can't afford it themselves, and they want to represent a shop who they are comfortable with and they respect. So by them doing that, to me, I'm not saying to overspend yourself as a shop, but if you have, let's say you get a brand new set of tires and some, I don't know, some sticky tires to the track. Say, okay, fine, I ordered 6 sets in. One of these sets are for you. Therefore, when you go to the track, you're not going to spin, it's going to hold. Boom. You're giving back. It's as simple as that. Like, my biggest thing is, if my guy asks me, say, hey, the guy who I sponsor, Darnell, and he says, you know what, I'm looking for some tires. What do you have? Okay, what do you need? Do you need the track? Do you need the streets? Do you need skinnies? What do you want? And once he tells me, I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. Let's go ahead and get those from him. I'll get him those tires. He's good to go. If he says to me, hey, I need to go ahead and bring the car, he tunes his own car.
Okay.
If I need to dyno my car today, do you have a slot? Our dyno schedule is all over the place, depending on when you're calling the season, whatever the case may be.
Right.
But if he says, Eddie, I want a dyno next week, that's perfect. You give me a whole week to block out how many ever hours you need. Normally he comes in the evening, and I know it's going to be anywhere from 2 hours, maybe 5-6 hours. Literally all I do, I set him up on the dyno. He does his thing with his laptop, his computer. He goes in and does his thing. If I'm going out to get food, hey, you hungry? You want something to drink? You want something to eat?
Do you strap his car down?
No, he's been there long enough. He's good. I'll help him if he needs it. But normally,
that's funny.
No, that's a good one. But normally, like certain tuners who come in, they've been there so much that I don't have to. I'll go and do the front, they're doing the back, and I might just kind of look over and make sure. But yeah, no, I don't do his. He's good.
That's funny, dude. That's funny. I would say that I think on the other side of protecting your investment, I think also is when you do what you do and you do what Elite Garage does, and you sponsor somebody wholeheartedly and don't expect anything in return other than being an upstanding racer and passionate. I think what they're also doing is that they feel like if they do less of a one thing for one person, they can get their name on multiple cars instead of just 3 cars, right? They get, well, would you rather have your name on 10 cars? Me personally, again, I'd rather have my name on 3 reliable cars than 10 cars that I do, little things here and there. How much does the generational side of things play into stuff like, people coming up to you all the time and asking you for sponsors? I feel like back in the day, in the older generation,
it's a lot harder.
Yeah, I feel like in the older generation it was harder to get a sponsor. But once you locked in a sponsor, you were set. Like you were getting paid. Like I remember you watched these movies from when we were kids. Like, oh, we got picked up by this team. We got picked up by this sponsor, and it's like, that's it. Like you've made it, right? Yeah. You're part of a name brand team. I feel like nowadays you don't see that. You see a lot of homegrown racers, and that's good. But even in the bracket racing, a lot of those cars come out of shops because those guys are mechanics.
Yeah.
Where in the generational split did that kind of go off?
That's a real good question as far as generational split. I would say, I know for us, like I said, it was harder, so much harder for us to go and ask a particular company, hey, I want to represent your shop and do this. And they were like, okay, what are you offering? What are you bringing to the table? Back then, I think for us, they would have to see the car, look over the car, and we don't like it. Where now, everyone is just so bold. Well, I want you to sponsor me. Okay, that's cool. And I asked a similar question, like, okay, what are you trying to do? My first question is, you're talking about sponsorship for the track, right? Not on the streets.
Right.
Because that's the biggest thing that we have going on right now, where you have people who are not differentiating between track safe racing, street racing, where you can hurt someone.
Like street racing is cool, but track racing is
Safe.
professional, right?
Yeah.
It's safe. That's what a business can put their name on
Bingo. Right.
and not have a problem. If you're going out
Exactly.
to the streets, yeah, you got clout, but you can hurt a business, especially if
much.
you wreck a car, kill
Very
somebody. That's a problem.
Very much
How
so.
often does that happen that people are coming up just for street?
Oh, we
Probably
get that weekly.
More than the track.
It's a lot
more.
because you have to remember, a lot of people. Here's the thing.
That's
just
ballsy.
Like, it's not about being ballsy. A lot of people just don't know. So when they hear sponsorship in their
Yeah.
mind, this person or this shop is going to give me these parts for free. I don't have to do anything. It doesn't work like that. I get it all the time, and I have to sit down with some of the younger guys and like, hey, it doesn't work like that. If someone's going to sponsor you, a lot of times you can't race your car on the street. You're strictly set up to go at a track, at a certain event. You have to show up at these events here, here, and here, and that's how it works.
I remember when it was like you raced your car on the street, and then once you got the sponsorship, then you were like, yo, I made it up the next level.
Yeah,
Now let's
that's
go to
it.
the track
Yeah,
kind of
that's
thing.
it.
Whereas now it's kind of easier to get to the track, though, for these younger cats. Like, there's no reason why a young dude can't go to the track, spend, what's it, like $25, tech in, and go run, and you don't know who's at the track. And if you
Who's
run
watching.
well, or you're really helping out, and you're kind of that person, you don't know who's watching, and you can get picked up that way. Whereas in the old days, that wasn't a thing.
Well, you got to remember, times have changed because those younger guys who used to be there with their dads watching those cars races are now us. So now when we go to the track, we have a different mindset as far as what we want to see, what we want to pick up. Like, you may go to the track, have your car. You may go to the track, have your car. No disrespect. You may be out there, I'm going to be the best thing. I'm, king dingling of the world. He may go out there and be very calm and be like, well, let me just see what the car runs.
Yeah.
And he walks your car down the track.
Right.
The fact that he's more humble, it's more inviting for people. We know for a fact we're not going to be having issues with you all the time regarding, hey, we need you to go here. I don't want to go there. Okay, we need for you to be here with your car. I don't want to do that. Well, we don't need you to street race. I'm not doing that. Okay, it's like you don't want the additional headache. So if you can get someone who you can work with and they can do what they need to do, the sponsorship should fall right into their lap. And that's where I'm going with it as far as now when they can pick it up easily at the track. Because like I say, for us, those people who owned the shops back then, it's an older generation. They weren't thinking the same way. Like, who would have thought 8-10 years ago Hondas would be making the powers that they're making?
Nobody.
Who would have
Yeah.
thought that the electronics, exactly, the electronics that they have now,
They'd be
would
millionaires.
be right. Because for me, when my car first got turbocharged, I was running a stock ECU with an FMU from a Mustang and a fuel pressure regulator, making maybe 440 back then, which was on a non-VTEC. I've been running it that long as a non-VTEC. It was crazy. And to now hear the options you have, whether it be CSS, whether it be sleeve in the block, whether it be, certain lightweight rods or pistons, technology itself will always keep advancing.
If you go back 30 years, I don't think you'd ever find anybody who would believe a four-cylinder engine
Will be
would
making
put
that
out
power.
800,000, 1,300 horsepower.
Yeah.
Do you think, how much do you think social media has played in that change, that development?
Major.
Yeah.
Major. Everything. If you're not on social media right now, not knocking anyone who isn't, you're missing out. Big time. Like we had,
Really?
and this is just in a sense as far as knowledge of information and
Yeah.
changes and things take place. I'm hoping I'm going to the same place with your question. We had a webpage at one point in time at our old location, Oakland Park. And it was great, trying to load up products, getting everything going. And web pages are awesome. I did a test years ago, maybe 4 years ago. And I said, I took over the Instagram roughly about maybe three years ago. And I want to start putting products out there to see how it would work. Literally, you start seeing things, asking questions, or people asking questions left, right, center. Hey, how do you do this? What about this? And how do I get this? And I'm like, okay. And then you start to see the followers. Literally, one day you're at 1, one day you're at 10, one day you're at 15. And the biggest thing about it is people nowadays have become so comfortable with computers, with technology. I mean, you look around the corner, you're hearing, hey, Siri, do this. Oh, my phone doesn't do it. Hey, Siri, there we go. Or you're hearing the other one.
Yes.
Not you. You're hearing the one for the homes. I forgot what it's called. The little
Alexa.
Alexa.
Okay. I found this on the web for
Yeah.
who wants
We don't need that.
Man, yours is
Yeah, it's
efficient.
sensitive.
My
Yeah.
man don't do anything like that.
You
man.
notice both of our phones stay
Yeah,
completely
yeah,
quiet.
exactly.
Nothing.
So when you're looking at all the technology that's happening, most people, and it's not that they're lazy, they become comfortable. So if they can gather information without having to leave their seat and they're reading up on it, they're going to do it.
Yeah.
And technology to me, is especially with social media, whether it be Facebook, whether it be Instagram, whether it be all the other ones that they have, it's knowledge. And sometimes we become a victim of the knowledge because we're taking in too much and not understanding it. But I think the social media itself has played a major part because of the fact that now everyone is tuning in.
See, my thing is, I always thought that social media was going to help motorsports, and I feel like it hasn't hurt it, but it hasn't made it grow, right? Like our ideas and what we've always said, and we've said it multiple times on the show, that the heyday for motorsports in America was like the 60s, 70s, and into the 80s, all right? The 90s, Schumacher got big, and Formula One kind of took off with that, and I feel like, Schumacher was kind of a worldwide name back then. But Formula One and like racing in general in like the 90s, 2000s, for America at least, we feel it kind of fell off, and it's gradually been on a decline until about now. And that's why, another reason why we started this show. But, in doing that, I always thought that, in our mentality, that being the heyday, when social media came around and things like overseas racing, like Formula One, WEC, and things like that, would have gotten so much bigger. And I feel like it helped the overseas, but it didn't help us. If you look at like Australia, they have like Thunder Down Under, or Thunder Days, or something like that, and Days of Thunder. I don't know what it is, but they have drag racing there. Right. And then you have England. They have a couple of drag tracks there. Drag racing started here. That was plain and simple. Now they have those big tracks there, and what their goal is to get into America to race our NHRA. I never understood. I always thought we would benefit so much more of the Formula One and overseas racing, and it never came here. In retrospect, now you look at it now, it seems like we've kind of gave away our racing but never received anybody else's. And maybe that's us, the United States, as a culture, where we think we're the best, we want to take anybody else. But I always thought that, I guess I beat this point into the ground, social media would have helped us more than it didn't do shit.
You gotta kind of, from my opinion, look at it from a standpoint of, okay, here's an example. Years ago, it was called Morosa before it was called PBIR. That's a lot of people from our generation know it as being.
Yeah.
They had a track down in Miami called County Line. Simple things like that, after a while, they started to become taken away from us. Certain people didn't want to have it down there. They didn't want to have the noise. They didn't want to have the cars. And people turned to the streets, which goes back to kind of like, okay, that's where everything originated from. I do agree with you regarding Formula One, because I used to sit at home and literally just watch the TV, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And now you really don't see it as much. I have yet to make it down to Sebring to watch even those kind of races.
Yeah, I would love to. Same thing. I haven't as well.
But I do agree with you. Things have changed, and I'm not gonna say that it hindered, but I believe that I don't want to say distraction. Something is causing people not to focus. Those who are genuine to the game on keeping that sport going. And it's really up to our generation, the generation after us, to kind of try to bring it back. But it's not going to be easy, because there are a lot of people out there who don't understand the grassroots of the sports. They really don't. They don't get okay, well then, you might have street racing, you might have this, but where did it originate from? Where did it start?
Man, I can't do that, because the second I get interested in something, but I just dive into that history.
Looking at the history.
That's many of us.
I would say that since we've kind of all agreed that social media didn't really help it grow, in your opinion, is there something that would help motorsports grow in America?
Yes.
Those tough questions.
Those catch me off guard. You're good. The thing for me would basically be it's kind of like having. Okay. Here's a thought.
Throw it out there.
Yeah, for me, I have guys who come by the shop, and I'm very laid back. I'm very open. Most people who know me know how laid back I really am. I am not serious. I joke a lot. I've said it to you before. But I've had guys that come by and say, hey, do you mind if we watch? They don't know what's going on. They're trying to figure out. They're trying to understand, hey, how can I build? They may not have, a dad, a brother, someone who wants to show them. By all means, I bring them in and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. If I'm tuning, this is what's taking place right now. If I'm building an engine, this is what I'm doing. I'm checking clearances, or if I'm doing a transmission, this gear is for this is for that. They start to get an understanding. Where I'm going with this is, if we all kind of took the step to put someone under our wing to kind of show them. And if we're higher up, to bring them up and say, okay, fine, hey, this is where the sports start. We want to keep this going. We don't just want to kind of push it to the side and say, it's not important right now. We don't need it. Because everyone has a hobby. I don't care if you're, taking photos of butterflies, if you're out here at the shooting range, if you're at the track, or if you're doing cartwheels in your backyard. Doesn't matter. Everyone has a hobby. But if you can get people to understand, to keep it growing, to stay positive with it, and to kind of focus and say, hey, I want to teach you this so you can have it for the future, or this is going to be your that's what I'm looking for, your relax mode.
I feel like you're right about that, because I feel like back in the day, there were a lot of apprentices and things like that. Nowadays, people get on top. These racers and shops, they get on
That's
top
it.
and they're the best, and they're making a lot of money, or they have a lot of fame, and they're doing a lot of things. And instead of trying to bring somebody else up and maybe working a little bit harder to stay in front of that person, they're scared that person's going to take what they've worked so hard to achieve. And I understand that fear, but I feel like that's what's hurting it. I've made it. I know I have the fastest whatever, and this person now has the same car and wants to make the same power. I'll help him, but I'm only going to send him so far, and then the rest of it.
You restrict them,
and I feel like it kind of restricts them, and they never get the same power. They never.
Is that
compete.
common?
Bro, I feel like that happens all the time.
Let me lift this weight off my shoulder. Hold on 1 second. No, it's common across the board. Whether it be tuning, whether it be engine building, whether it be a race car, you have a certain few, and I don't know why, who do not want to see someone on the same level. My thought process has always been, there's enough for everyone. There is enough for everyone. It's for one person, you can have 9, 10, 20, 13,000, doesn't matter, cars that you can do. And You're right about the apprenticeship. When I was growing up, that was something that, my dad would be like, I didn't have an option. There was no, okay, you want to go? No, get your butt in the truck, let's go. So I learned something like carpentry, electrical,
Sounds
plumbing.
familiar.
Yeah, that's how we grew up. So when you have that kind of thing happening now, and the next generation is more lax, they don't have to do it, it's harder. But I do agree, there are people who don't want to see you in the same, or on the same level as them, because they feel as if that's it. They're there. They don't want to have that competition, or they're scared of competition. And like I said, that's across the board in everything that you do. Personally, I don't feel that it should be like that. If someone is doing good, praise them. Be happy for them, because you never know. That same person who you may have turned your back on because you didn't want them to succeed, maybe the same person you're turning back to need.
Are they scared of the competition, or is it they think they'll make more money by having that record and
Both.
being the record holder?
Both. I think it's both, in my opinion. Because you got to remember, just like anything else growing up, I'm quite sure you guys had brotherly competitions. Who can jump higher, who's faster. Yeah.
Come on. It's a sore subject. Hey, you got all the brains.
I look like the older brother. I'm not.
You got
I'm
the
not.
brains, though. I was better at the sports. You were better in the books. It's we make a good team.
Yeah, that helped.
Yeah, but just like having that, me and my brother, we've had sibling rivalries. I've had my car, he's had his, and he's always had that. Oh, I'm gonna beat your car, and I'll tell him yeah, let me know when that happens for you.
Did he ever hit you in the face with a metal bat?
Bro.
No, that never happened. I can never say that one.
You got to bring that up now.
He's still
It was
dealing
an
with
accident, bro. Did your brother ever put you through a wall in the house?
You put yourself
No.
to that damn wall.
Whatever. How did
We tussled though, but no, nothing like that. Nothing like that.
I just hit him in the face with a chunk of ice.
Oh, that
Yeah,
hurts.
he did. Yeah, he hit me with. We used to live in New York, so rock snowballs.
Oh,
He got me.
Oh, you were serious.
I gotta say,
It was an accident.
now that we've kind of done away with all the heart to heart, and we've actually blown through about almost an hour now
Oh, wow.
of talking about that
Don't feel
really
like it,
deep
right?
stuff.
No, it doesn't at all.
I want to ask you more about the fun stuff, right?
ahead.
And I know everybody, we've made you wait a little while, and I apologize for that. Hopefully you're still watching, because I think this is fire. Your brother drives American Muscle.
Yeah.
You drive Import. How's that go?
He's still importing his heart. That's the best way to put it. He's still importing his heart. He knows better than to say, line it up. That's number one.
Okay.
Because he knows it's not going to happen. My role with him is not going to be that 40-20 roll. No, we're doing a roll. Because I know he's making a decent amount of power. But
What are you rolling from 60?
About 60, 70.
See, that's the Honda. That's the Import thing.
Yeah. Because he's rear-wheel drive. I'm not going to... I have where I can get out the hole, but it's a chase. And if I'm going to do it with him, I'd rather go to the track and do it. I put the tires on, we go to the track.
Fair
We'll
enough.
see
Would
exactly.
you 40 roll him at the track?
Oh, yes.
IRRA,
yes.
baby. We got to get
Oh
this
yeah,
going.
I would definitely.
Do you
that.
go out to IRA, by the way?
I haven't been for a while.
We got to
I
get you to the International Roll Racing Association.
Trust me, this year, there's a lot of big things that are going to be rolling out from our shop. I mean, big, like, it's not the norm. And we're going to be dropping it on the people so they can see
Perfect
it.
that you brought that up because one of our guests asked, what are your goals for 2020? I know that half of it's pretty much gone by now,
Yeah.
but what are your goals for the next foreseeable quick future?
To not wear a mask anymore. No, I'm joking.
That's all of us.
No, for me,
Try doing
honestly,
it with a huge beard.
yeah, I've seen where you guys can get all the way
It
around.
doesn't work. I just use neck gaiters now, so it goes all the way down.
My goals for 2020 is to, or the rest of 2020, is to be different. To be honest with you, to be different. I don't want to be like every other shop that has the same story to tell as far as what they're doing and the cars that they're building or the people that they have coming in. I want to change it up a bit. I want to deal with people who people don't normally deal with. Like in our hashtag, I put, the people's tuner. I like getting involved with the average person who most people don't want to waste their time on. Meaning like whether it be their cars, whether it be a build. I want to get into that. Like my brother's been coaxing me, trying to get me to do the American muscle tuning.
Okay.
I'm eventually going to get there. I'm slowly working my way, but I'd rather have a car that I can tune on myself rather than playing with someone else's car. I don't believe in doing that. So if I have...
Well, that's fair because what Ken from Palm Beach Dyno, the reason why he went out and bought the GT500 so fast is because he wanted to learn on that.
Exactly.
And same kind of thing. So
Yeah. And I get it all the time. Do you tune this? Do you tune that? His whole Mopar clique that he's with, I get asked all the time. And I say, listen, I love the cars, but I'm not going to play with the cars. I'd rather have one myself, learn it, and then go from there. But getting back to the question, just to be different. No one wants to be the same. No one wants to remain in the same bubble, so to speak. You want to keep growing and continue blossoming. You never know. 2022 may have another Genesis Automotive down south, out west, wherever. I don't know what may come about it, but what I do know is that we're going to be around. It's going to be bigger and better, and we're just making changes every single chance we get.
and around with the same name for the last how many years?
11 years.
We had a little laugh about that before because we were like, oh, you've been around 11 years, same name? And he's like, yep, same name.
Yep.
And we both kind of clicked because a lot of people, what they'll do is, I've been in the game 12 years, but I've had 4 different business names, what I'm
Can't
saying? 'Cause-
survive. Yeah.
Right. So let's get to the cars.
Yeah.
All right. I'll start off with one of our guests' questions, one of our fans' questions, and then we'll get into the cars. His question was, what's your dream vehicle?
Oh, that's easy. Anyone that knows me knows this. Acura NSX.
Okay.
Yeah, the 94, 95, not
So
the new one.
Okay, the older one, not the newer one.
Flip up. I love that one. The new one is great, but I'm more of the classic body, the clean lines. I love that car.
Two of my
It's
favorite imports
amazing.
of all time, NSX and the RX-7, the nice Dom's RX-7.
There you go. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what I
yeah.
got into, you know what I'm saying? Let's talk about this build. So you said you had it second owner, 800
owner.
horsepower. What
Yes.
have you done to this? Any
Wow.
good stories about this bad boy?
Oh, man. Let's just say it didn't always look like that. This car's been through a lot. I've had this car since I was 19. I got it actually Christmas Eve. My mother knew I've always wanted this car. Before this one, I had a 91 EF, 4-door. Couldn't get it at the time because, back then you worked for what you wanted to get. My mother said to me, if you want the car, whatever you make for the summer, I'll match it. So that was already the incentive of me learning that I have to work for myself.
There you go.
Yeah, so I went out, couldn't afford it at the time, had the EF, driving it. I was going to work. This is, tell you my age right now. I work for Circuit City.
Hey.
Hey, there you go. I work for Circuit City. So on my way to work,
I wish they were around now. You know how much stuff I could have bought off them?
yeah, they were good. Was going to work one day. Guy decides that he's not going to wait to get to the light or the turn to cross over. He crosses the yellow line, T-bones me. Or I T-boned him, actually. Puts me in rehab for 6 months. I couldn't grab a cup with my right hand because when I hit the car, it was a Benz, by the way, so they're solid.
Yeah.
I slid downward. The whole seatbelt strap thing hurt my shoulder, damage here. This hand hit the console. I couldn't do anything.
Damn.
So went through it for a little bit, saved up some more money. Finally, everything settled. Was looking for a car. My heart was already set. I want an EG. I don't want anything else. I don't want this. I don't want a Toyota. My father at the time was telling me to get E30, and I loved them.
Damn.
I loved them.
Hey, your old man got some taste.
Yeah, he was cool. God rest his soul. He was cool. But back then, I didn't know anyone who worked on them. So my
Right.
biggest fear was, okay, I'm going to get this really nice BMW, which one
And
thing is
not
I
know what to do
own a
with it.
BMW now, right? Yeah, and not know how to fix it. So I'm like, I don't know. Then of course you got the friends in school and they're like, no, get the Civic, get this. I'm like, we'll see. Let me tell you what did it for me. My cousins lived like maybe 15 minutes from me. Their neighbor had a black one just like this, and it had a little body kit on the side, not the big flare, but it's a little skirt
Yeah,
kit.
just a little something.
Every time I saw that car and it had the Fittipaldi wheels and everything, it was clean, no tint, just immaculate. Music playing, I'm like, I gotta get that car. Time passed, like I said, the settlement happened. I told my mom I'm looking for a car. I went from, oh my God, up north to West Palm, all the way back down to maybe Davie at the time looking for a car. Even Miami, could not
Yeah.
find a car. That's when they started to become popular. Ones I did find, they were rusted out. They were actual dents that they were trying to cover up. One day I was driving, had my mom's truck, was going down by the beach, and I looked over off of Sunrise. It was Holman Honda, and they actually had the car up on the little stand outside. I'm like, this can't be real. They had a red one and a black one. Wasn't fond of the red. I go over, I look at it, I'm like, is it for sale? He's like, yeah, a guy just came in, he just traded up for a newer car. Are you interested? I said, yes. I said, what do I have to do to just have you hold it? He's like, just leave $100 deposit. I scavenged.
Boom.
Oh, yeah. Got the money, put it on. I told my mom, I'm like, listen.
He gets like 95, a couple of ones.
Yeah, some change.
97, 98,
99. Bingo.
There's your pennies.
Yeah. The guy looked at me. He's like, all right, no problem. When are you coming back? This was the 23rd of December. And I told my mom, I'm like, hey, I want to go ahead and get it. I was, like I said, I was 19. And she's like, okay, well, let's go take a look at it. Let's just say the next day was history. That was it. I went down there.
Yeah, I know you love this car because you remember the story.
Oh,
You tell it
trust
like
me.
that. Most
Yeah.
people would be like, yeah, I got this car at this place.
Nah.
But for you to go into that much detail about it, I know you got a feeling for
It's
it.
my
What
baby.
if-
I got cursed out a lot of time. A lot of women for this car. Trust me, I know it happens. But my
a
big
lot of
joke.
shenanigans
Oh,
about in this car
You know what?
on the
It's-
on the street or
Yeah, I've had lots of issues.
Yeah.
Put it like this: at one point in time, Broward clerk of the courts knew me by name.
oh
I'd
because
walk
of
in.
this.
Oh yeah, I'd walk in. They're like, "Eddie, you back again?" And I'm like, "You got to." But here's a joke: it was only one speeding ticket out of 64 tickets. Yes, I said 64. Just don't give me that look. I'm just saying.
Dude,
that.
I had 12 at one point. I thought that was a lot. Man,
No.
you can't find them on my record.
No, they're gone now.
Thank you, Ticket Clinic.
But it was I
64?
got I got improper start, tint too dark, car too low, exhaust too loud. You name it, I got it.
Yeah.
Literally. They that was back when the car scene, you'd go to like Red Line or you'd go to Power Line or Cypress, you'd go out to Hiatus, you'd go out to different race spots. So everyone knew the race spots.
Right.
So
Yeah.
when you go out there, which thank God back then it was a lot cooler. Cops weren't as bad as they are now, where they'd pull you over and give you a ticket. You had some cool guys be like, hey, what do you have? Let me hear it. And it was great. Back then, it was awesome. Now it was more or less like being dicks. Majority of them.
Yeah, I would say that you got that, and then there's a lot more stuff that you can wreck into
Exactly.
and kill.
Right. But I mean, for those who aren't doing
Right.
bad. So
Just seeing one ride down the road,
Oh, yeah.
and it's loud, instead of giving you a ticket, they would pull you over and ask you what's under the hood kind of thing.
yeah, and it's cool because I've had cops look over and they'd be like, yeah, it looks nice. Or they come into the dyno, like, side note real quick, when we first got the dyno, I'll never forget this. And we were setting up and we were tuning a car in there. And I went to the gas station, which is the one right across the street over here.
Yeah.
I could hear the car on the dyno from over there.
Oh,
Damn.
Yeah, the car was,
That's probably a good 700, 800 meters.
oh yeah. Car had individual throttle bodies, wide, loud, open.
Military. I know.
I know. That's why I looked at you.
But the cops came by and they're like,
With buildings in between. by
there
the
you
way.
go. He's looking like, who's racing? And because what happens, where we are now, that stretch, the street,
Yeah.
is a quarter mile.
Yeah.
If you go to the end of that stretch, you'll see tire marks this big. Those guys were racing for big money
Yeah.
without anyone knowing about it. So he comes by and he looks, he's like, is that a dyno? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, you're good, go ahead. And I'm like, my heart is through my chest, like, oh, what's gonna happen? But
Well, I'll go to jail.
yeah, exactly. But it was real cool. But yeah, getting back to this, man, I've had,
What have you done to it? I know you had to have done.
Oh.
Because what it's pushing, you had to have done some stuff.
We've done major headwork, port polish, springs retainers, Dart and MID sleeves, 10.5 compression, Garrett GTW series turbo, upgraded intercooler piping. It's on the S300 Honda system. Not running the coils yet because I'm not having any issues. Transmission, some specialty work. Not going to go into that on it, but it's done up top
Was
to
that
bottom.
like shop secrets in the transmission?
I would say a little something here and there. Nothing too much.
I love listening to a guy or girl that loves their car run through it, because no one else can do it like they do it, right?
true.
It,
It's true.
it's got a certain sound to it.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's done to it. You know, I've taken the time to tear down the whole suspension, put the full polyurethane inside of it. It's coming to the time now when I'm going to upgrade the exhaust. Originally, the exhaust was done by a Porsche shop in Fort Lauderdale by a friend of mine who did it way back when. Amazing sound from the car. A lot of guys who see it and hear it can't tell it sounds like a Honda, but it has a different grumble to it. For me with the car, my biggest thing was, and I used to get this back in the day a lot, you cannot have looks and speed. And I was hell-bent on proving people wrong with that.
Right.
This unit, my car itself, literally has AC, power steering, navigation, you name it. It has a full leather interior, full Dynamat doors, everything. No problem. I do have a track car that I kind of put on hold. It's the EG version of this, the hatchback. Same exact thing, same motor, just more aggressive cams. And it's a difference when it's your own and you don't want to cut up the doors. You don't want to cut the dash. I refuse to cut anything out of this car that doesn't need to be cut.
Right.
If it's going to be at that point, then now I need to go buy a race car, full out, all out race, which I already have. But for this being my baby, so to speak, besides my two boys, it's my getaway. When I get in this car and I drive, there's nothing that bothers me at all. I'm good. I'm in that zone. I'm cruising. Music's playing. I'm not doing 300 on the clock. Most of the time I'm driving this, I'm probably doing maybe 60 or 70. Not saying I won't squeeze it once or twice, which is awesome. But other than that, that's just pretty much it for me.
Yeah, he had a smile on his face when he pulled it up.
Yeah,
He
it's
pulled that.
and I don't pull it out a lot. I really don't. I leave it. No
Well,
pun intended. Yeah, just leave it like how it is.
I'm glad we can force it out of hibernation.
yeah,
But
got cleaning up to do, but that's all.
I hear you. Well, I definitely hope that you come out to the International Road Racing Association, you start coming to PBIR now.
You'll be
things
seeing
like
me a lot
that.
more. That's one of the changes going to happen into 2020 because I do
Getting
have a lot
out
of
there.
guys out there, and sorry not to cut you off.
No.
We have a lot of people whose cars that I tune and like, they don't go to the race spots, but they do go to the track. So to see them out there and they'll say, hey, excuse me, I'm running this time, what can we do to fix it? 9 times out of 10, I'll have my laptop in the truck or in the car. So to look at the map, have them data log, see what's going on, make changes on the spot is the best thing that they can do because now they can see what's happening. Because not everyone is going to walk with a laptop. Not everyone knows the software systems. It's a range of things. So you can always help somebody out when you need to. And of course, it's a sport. Why not be out there?
Hell yeah.
The smell of race gas in the night, it's the best thing.
Other than yourself, Genesis Automotive, I have heard a couple people talk about that. I hear a few other names out there. Elite Garage is like kind of blown up as a sponsor, down here in the last while. What other sponsors have you heard of Elite Garage?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Are there other sponsors out there that you feel that are on par with what you're trying to accomplish? If we can give them a shout out, kind of like who do you think, sponsor wise is doing the right thing?
To be honest with you, I don't hear of a lot of sponsors besides Elite. Elite is one of them that I've personally dealt with on and off once or twice. It's, for me, I don't hear about too many of them.
Right.
I might see certain things, but it's not really being pushed or advertised. My biggest thing is if you're sponsoring someone, push. Push to be seen. Push to be known. Like my biggest thing when doing our shop was branding. Brand. Let it be known who you are. Let it be seen who you are. Let them understand that when they see that logo and they see that name, they correlate. They can understand, hey, that's what these guys are.
Right.
I'm not saying that they don't exist. I just personally don't know them that broadly like that. Maybe if a name is something, I'd be like, yeah, I've heard of them, but I've never personally dealt with them one-on-one. Shops, I've dealt with a lot of shops. Like, believe it or not, all the tuners, majority of us down here, we know each other. All the shops, we all know each other, majority of us. So you may have one person go to one shop and the shop owner may call ahead, say, hey, I have this guy coming in, and by the time they get there, we already know what's going on with the car.
Right.
So, but to get back to the main question, I really couldn't say this place is pushing better or this one is better. I can't do it.
Fair enough.
Any more questions? Yeah, gladly, I'll ask them.
I only have one more, honestly.
What's that?
Well, I mean, I know we don't want to talk about your racing history too much because you get most of it hasn't been on the track, probably most on the street. So let's not go there so much. When you get to IRRA and you hopefully become a member and get involved with that and start going to PBIR, we'll get some stories again. But we did get one weird question online. I actually when I read it, I kind of laughed, and I can't remember who it's from.
Oh
now,
boy, I'm interested now.
No, the only thing he for some reason he asked, "What's the most unusual thing you've eaten?" I don't know if he knows you.
I don't know
But
someone who's asked that question. That's the most random question
That's what I'm saying. I feel like they just saw me put up yo, we're having this guest. What should we ask him? And they were like, yo,
How random can I be?
Yeah, how random can I be? But
I got a few
most
things.
unusual thing you've eaten.
Wow. All right, let's start from the beginning. Why not? I was
Start
tricked.
from the beginning.
Yeah, I'm adventurous, but not too adventurous.
Okay.
So once again, I was working at Circuit City. The rep for Sprint came in. We went out to Chili's. I think it was Chili's or TGI Fridays, one of them. And we're out there eating, and I said, okay, fine. He said, what do you want? I said, give me some onion rings, something like that. I'm good. I don't eat a lot. Big guy that really don't eat that much. And go to the restroom, come back, and they're all eating, and I'm noticing my plate's already there. I'm like, all right, great, no problem. So I'm there eating, and I'm like, damn, these onion rings are chewy as shit. Like, what is going on?
Calamari.
It's calamari. So the guy's like, do you know what you're eating? And I'm like, yeah, they're onion rings, but they're chewy. He's like, no, it's calamari. And I'm like, all right, well, they taste good anyway. And I just kept going with it. Next thing, I went out to a place out, I guess, in Gatorland, alligator tail.
I've never had that.
It's chewy. It's chewy. It's not bad
it
at
taste
all.
good?
Yeah, it tastes good. It tastes like meat. It tastes like burger. It's just chewy. It's I wouldn't
gotta
say
get on
gamey, but it's chewy. Following that one, spring chicken, frog legs. That tastes like chicken. Literally, it does. Just
I feel like frog legs. You got to eat it with your pinky.
Yeah, just gonna pick it up
a
and
glass of wine and some caviar.
Yeah, I've had that. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. I won't touch caviar. Just the whole thought on. I can't. I think one of the other ones. Oh yeah,
You've eaten some stuff, bro.
I'll try different things, man. I really will. The funny thing is, my mother will make chicken foot soup. I won't touch it. I'm like, I don't like seeing feet in the soup. I can't do it.
Yeah.
And just FYI, my background is Jamaican. I may not sound like it, but when I'm around, other people, you'll hear it come out, or you hear certain words. But
my grandfather used to eat some stuff, bro.
Yeah.
He used to eat the sardines straight out of the can.
I used to do that. That's not that bad.
Bro, get the hell out of here with that garbage. He used to try to force feed us that when we were kids.
Oh.
He used to eat
I'm
stomach.
the most pickiest person in the family, at least.
Right.
I might say the local area. All right, anyway. So he would always try
the
and
eastern
trick
coast
me.
of the United States. He's the
I'm
most.
not, I'm not that bad. I'm not that bad. I know what I like, and I don't need to venture from that.
Right.
All right.
You're set. That's
but
it.
he would always try and trick me, right? So he gives me a list one time of all the different things to eat, and he's like, all right, tuna salad, salmon salad, this and that. And he's like, let's have salmon salad. I'm like, no, I don't want that. I don't want
shark.
that. I don't want salmon salad. That was Mom. So I go, all right, tuna salad. I walk in, and it's pink. So what tuna salad is pink?
Oh boy.
Ma tricked me and gave me the shark.
Hell yeah.
For 10 years after that, I had to see the chicken package in the garbage
wouldn't believe
before
it.
I'd eat it.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
you were really that. Yeah, that'll do it. I think just real quick, the last one that I did, a friend of mine, we went out to lunch, longtime friend, and she was there. And seafood, I'm okay with. I won't do crazy, but I've never had oysters.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she was like, just try it. I'm like, no, it's too slimy. I have a texture thing. Literally, I can. So she, I might say, stop being a bitch. I'm like, okay, I'm not a bitch, first of all. I don't want to do that. So I literally, she'll call you out on stuff. So I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. Sorry. I go ahead and they sprinkled a little sauce thing on. I'm looking at it like, this just looks disgusting. And I just want to try it just to try it. And literally it went in. I didn't even let it touch my tongue. It just went straight down. I was like, I don't want to taste this shit. I really don't. And then I looked at the shell and I was like, just give me something bitter to drink. I just didn't want to deal with it. That is the craziest. The oyster.
I used to out in Hawaii. They close to Japan. They have a lot of fish.
Right.
And I used to eat sushi with the little red octopus on the top. Whole octopus.
Oh, you are a different kind of guy.
Bro,
No,
I get all in
no.
it, bro. I eat some stuff. But is there anybody out there that you wanted shops drivers, car clubs, anything that you wanted to shout out before we finish here? Anybody you got to give, thanks to, or let anybody know that
Yes.
you appreciate them?
I would definitely like to shout out everyone, because without you, we wouldn't be here. Without you, the sport wouldn't be here. And the best thing that I would say is that, we really appreciate you. Without your business, none of this would exist. And we definitely want to make sure that any kind of question that you may have, any kind of dreams, thoughts, whatever you want to do, contact us. Even if it's not Genesis Automotive, just reach out to the person who's there, who you look up to, ask for help. Because literally, like I said before, without you guys, we really would not exist. Whether it be you coming in to change a tire or you coming in to jump on the dyno. You are what makes the shops function. So that's my shout out to everyone. Not one particular person, but everyone.
Where do they find you?
Oh, we're located, gotta get my advertising voice. It's Genesis Automotive. We're at 550 Northeast 27th Street, Suite A and B in Pompano Beach. If you want to call ahead, our number is 954-946-9880. Whether it be dyno tuning, whether it be scheduling, whether it be whatever you want to do with your car. And if you want to check us out online, we have an IG, which is Genesis Automotive. It's Genesis_Automotive, I'm sorry. And our Facebook is Genesis A. Phillips, Phillips. Whole issue with that, they started messing with the thing. We had to make it look like a person, but that's our Facebook. Yeah, and also YouTube, which is strictly Genesis Automotive. You'll see every car that we've tuned. We also have a self-help section for cars that we've brought in, like the BMWs or issues with certain cars that people don't know. Rather than going to the dealer, we kind of give them the little hints as far as what you can do to save some money. So everything is there as well. We try to hit the base on a lot of stuff.
Awesome.
Yep.
I really appreciate you coming by.
I appreciate
Thank you
being
so
here.
much. Talked about a lot of great things. This was a
nice one.
very happy that we ran into each other in
Hey.
the circumstances we did.
I might be back in a year. You never know. I don't.
Hey, I think we'll see you at the track, and I hope we see you at the track and doing
Yeah.
some incredible things. Appreciate you guys for listening, tuning in. Again, if you're on the podcast, 5 stars, do your thing, share it. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, notifications if you want. I know a lot of people push that. I don't, but follow us on Instagram, beardedgaragistas.
Comment, talk to us, man.
Comment, talk to us. We
talk
want
back.
to connect with you. If you want us to have a guest on, let us know which guest you want to have on. If you want us to ask certain questions of certain guests, let us know. We'll reach out to them. We don't mind being the bridge. That was the whole point of all of this. We thank you for tuning in. beardedgaragistas.com is up and running, good to go. Still waiting on the state of Florida. Eventually, somebody from the state of Florida is going to listen to this and be like, damn, dude, we got to get our stuff together. But
Eventually.
waiting on the state of Florida for the sales tax permit so we can do the T-shirts again, but we're going to get all the merchandise to you. And that's about it. So, see you guys next time. Peace.
Stay safe.
Peace.